Good evening to each and every one of you. We would like to officially call our East Tampa Community Redevelopment Area CAC meeting to order. The time is 6:03. Grateful for your presence here tonight, and we welcome our newest committee member, Ms. Cabri.
Yes.
Last name?
Winters.
Winters. So we're thankful for you. She is a homeowner in East Tampa as well as a small business owner. So we welcome you to the committee. As we prepare for invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, we had some beginning remarks before we started. Colonel, thank you for your service. And we were just talking about our brothers and sisters in arms and where our country is with so many different things. There are families in need. There are families hurting financially, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And so we want to make sure that we are being kind to those. We want to be kind to everyone anyways, but especially those who are federal workers, those who are part of the DOD. This is a tough time for all persons involved. So let's just have a moment of silence and reflection for those in whom are affected by this current shutdown. Please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We're going to do a vocal roll call, starting with Miss Frankie Jones.
Frankie Jones.
Kim Hedlund.
Carlos De La Osa. Zach Karen.
Diane Ziegler.
Maria White.
Cabri Winters.
Ebony DeCosta.
Jeffrey Johnson. Quorum has been established. Is there a motion to accept?
Mimi is here as well.
I am so sorry, Mimi. I did see you. Please forgive me. I'm so used to seeing you in person.
I know.
Hello, my friend. Mimi Martinez is online, so we appreciate your presence. And because we have quorum, you can vote with us. At this time, we will have public comment. So if you do desire to speak, we ask that you will state your name and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Parker Klontz. I'm with Klontz Properties. I just wanted to remind everybody we are the developers, my mom and I, behind the affordable housing project that we're hoping to carry out in Grant Park. Our final presentation in front of City Council is next Thursday, November 13th at 9 a.m. If you guys are in support of our project, the more voices there, the more support there, the better. I do understand 9 a.m. isn't the easiest time of day to get downtown to Old City Council building. But again, if you guys can make it in support of our project, affordable housing in Grant Park, it'd be much appreciated. I left some flyers over there on the table if you want to grab one on your way out, just with the date, time, and some brief info. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Next.
Good luck.
Hi, I'm Valerie Bullock, a lifelong resident of East Tampa. I applaud them for the housing program that they started, and it should be a model for anybody who's planning on building in the area. They have 30% AMI, 50 and 80%, and that's how all of them should be. Because too many times what I'm seeing in East Tampa, we're being exclusive instead of inclusive. We have 2 bedrooms. They are not building any 3 bedrooms, and the AMI that they are marketing are supposed to be 80%.
I mean, I put some in the thing.
Ones down there at the old fun land, a 1 bedroom there start at $1,599, but we say they're affordable. Affordable for who? New people that's moving in, not the original residents. And we must always remember that the poor will always be with us. And 30% AMI in every apartment that they're being built, that's not too much to ask for. We need to focus on being inclusive, and that's how we stop the gentrification of the neighborhood. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next.
Hey everybody. My name is Lachelle Hardy, and I am an employee of the Children's Board, but I'm naturally a third-generation East Tampa community member. And I just felt like it was very important to make mention of just the housing situation, what is the word I want to use? Our plumbing. It's not sufficient in a lot of the homes in this community. My grandmothers lived 2 houses apart from each other. So essentially, I would be able to go back and forth all throughout the day, and my cousins or whatever family members in the neighborhood, and it's a very common issue. So I just was hoping that we had more community members here, people who are really from the community, so they could speak to how that looks, how it affects our livelihood. And yeah, I just want plumbing to also become a topic of discussion, so that as we improve the neighborhoods, we also improve our restrooms and things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Allison Hewitt, resident and business owner. One thing I would like to ask for you to consider, there was a housing community outreach here in which the people at the table actually faced the community and had a conversation with the community. I'm asking that you change this layout to model what you did for the community, the housing workshop, so that you are talking to us, or we are able to look at you, and that you just don't have conversation that basically feels like you're excluding those folks in the audience. It was a very well represented community outreach meeting that the people was at the table were able to look at the presentation on this screen. And I ask that you consider making a motion to change your configuration so that the community feels more involved. I have shared also with several of you. I spent my entire weekend trying to do a side-by-side comparison with the updated CRP in the 2004. I think it was very well written. And I share with you some of the things that the goals that were set in the 2004, were they achieved, and how we move forward. My challenge is that we only have 8 years currently. So unless we have a plan that has, this is what has worked, this is what should be successes, this is what should follow, and they have outlined that a little bit in there, but I just need to make sure that we are then taking the plan and we're following it, that we do not have development happen to us, but that we are actually leading the development to make sure that someone is implementing that. And the last thing I would like to say that I am significantly disturbed about is we also did a deep dive on the property that the CRA owns. And we have property we've owned for 15 years and no RFP, 13 years, no RFP, 9 years, no RFP, 8 years, we have yes, and 12 years. The average RFP for land owned in Ybor, Channelside, and downtown is 1 to 2 years. The average time for the CRA East Tampa to own property is 10. We cannot continue to hold this land and not have someone put together a plan to develop it. Development takes time. And if we only have 8 years, we need to start now. So I ask that you prioritize or ask for at least a plan on how we're going to dispose of the property owned by the CRA. And last but not least, that the average time for a program to be implemented in East Tampa is 4 years. I spoke at City Council. The wheel came before City Council. It took them 8 months to develop the lease, to develop the negotiations, and to have 2 public hearings for it to pass. 8 months. And I said out loud, so you need to be white as a developer to be able to move forward. So I ask you to make sure that we are not during these 8 years slow rolling all of our programs.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
I want to say something. I'm Cynthia Klontz with Klontz Properties, and I just want to say now we're just finishing up our CRA renovation on the strip center that hopefully will be adjacent to our affordable housing. We are legacy owners and we are very engaged with the community, and I think that's what it takes. I think when you consider developers that come in and present these programs, they really have to be educated in the community and the community needs, just like our fine friend spoke, you know, coming in with 1 bedrooms when demographically there are single moms with 2 to 3 kids, and making a proposal because they can do 30% of the AMI and service them with one bedroom. Sometimes that's not right. But the total community engagement that we've done and the rehabilitation of the plaza that we have, we are naming it Grant Park Plaza in respect for those residents and the community that have supported us over the years, I think is so important. The CRA is working for us. It's worked for us with our exterior renovation and with the help of Cedric and his team. We are now going to be finalizing our interior renovation. We have people from the community that actually stop in there. We have 7 new businesses now creating economic development in that area where there was 1 barely. So it's my hope that, yes, you will come out and support us if you can on November 13th, because we think it's important that community engagement is just of the utmost. And we are legacy. We're there to stay. We're not going to build it and leave. We've been there 30 years and we plan on managing the property from next door, the plaza. But the CRA has been working for us, and I want to give kudos to Cedric and that team. I know sometimes a lot of what you do is not appreciated, but we do appreciate you. I appreciate the support that you've shown us. I apologize for my phone, over the last 2 meetings. So the final step for us will be the city council. And it is our hope, we've got a lot of community coming out to support us, a lot of community engagement, that if you do have time and you believe in the CRA and the mission of the CRA and what it is for legacy owners, business stakeholders, and those that have been in the community giving for 30 years, we hope to see you there. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Is there anyone online for public comment? Thank you so much for those who are in person as well as those who are online, those who are in person who chose to speak. At this time, can I have a motion for the approval of the October 7th meeting minutes? It has been properly moved and second. All in favor by saying aye. Opposed, same sound. The ayes have it for the presentation, for the minutes. At this time, I would turn my chairmanship gavel over to Mr. McCray to conduct the rest of the meeting until elections.
Good evening. Traditionally, we have the nominations for the positions of chair and vice chair, and we will move forward in that aspect. So now, if there are any nominations for the position of chair.
I nominate Jeff Johnson.
Second,
And the second was from
Diane.
any other nominations for the position of chair? Going once.
When is his term up?
I'm sorry.
She has term is up next year?
Yes, we do it annually.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Going twice. Nomination closes. And now we will have selection of a nomination for vice chair.
Nominate Ebony.
Second.
Ms. Jones. Mr. Carrington. Okay, any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Going once. Going twice. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to each of you for your vote of confidence. I really appreciate that I may represent our board with efficiency in our community. So thank you so much. At this time, we will have two presentations. The first is coming from our partners who have written our updated CRP plan to give an update on the draft. They do have 20 minutes for their presentation. If you saw, it was a robust plan, 194 pages, I believe. And so they will come and give an update now. And then, as we've done in times past, we will allow committee members 3 minutes to respond before we close it out. Just ask for the sake of time that you will gather your information of what you would like to share for those 3 minutes, so we don't have to do a round robin twice. We can do it one time. And then if there needs to be a motion or anything, maybe we'll do that at the conclusion of everyone that has spoken.
Chair, are we good to go?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Bryce Veringer with your Tampa CRA staff. It is my pleasure to introduce our project consultant partners from Wegman and Banks, the University of South Florida, and also Vista Communications. This team has been working diligently on updating the East Tampa Community Redevelopment Plan since the fall of 2024. And we're excited to finally present the completed draft that's currently undergoing finalization to you all this evening. As you're all aware, this is the first update of the East Tampa CRP since the CRA was established back in 2004, thus adding to the importance and need for this plan update. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our team so that they can provide an overview of the plan update and what all it entails. And then we can go ahead and open it up for discussion amongst the committee afterwards. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bryce. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so I am Aaron Banks with Wegman and Banks Architects. I have with me Professor Trent Green with University of South Florida. We are here to present the final draft. It's been a rewarding project for us, very meaningful. Thank you for inviting us back here to report to you on the final draft. Next page, please. Or am I controlling this, right? Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, so quick refresher, what is a redevelopment plan? So first and foremost, it's a policy document, and it must comply to the Florida Statutes 163. So that's the most important thing that we were tasked to do. Now, when we competed to win this project, what we committed to is for this to be an actionable document. Okay, so we really, went beyond a policy document to create a guideline that is truly a roadmap in which more work can be done to build upon the effort that's happened since 2004 and make the best of these a little bit less than 9 years remaining. Okay, so this is an update. It was originally produced in 2004, and here we are in 2025 updating it with a lot of the same priorities that existed back then. You'll see truly do carry through to today. So this is an update. We've treated it as such and expanded on the work that's been done with both the original CRP and also the strategic action plan just a few years ago. So it is a document that built upon work already done. Okay, so some of, through our community engagement, what we learned through interviews and also through survey, things like public safety, infrastructure, public spaces, economic development, affordable and attainable housing. We've heard from the community today on that. We appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten from the community, and we have heard you. We understand, and we understand the timeline that is left and the urgency of all of this, and really work to create a roadmap to get positive things continuing for East Tampa. Again, some of the feedback collected in data from our survey of well over 100 respondents. And again, safety and crime reduction is up at the top. Economic development, public spaces, as we've spoken about. So a lot of these priorities, again, from 2004 have carried through, and we're reinforcing that as we take a closer look at the community. I'm going to hand it over to Professor Green. Why don't you take this as well in talking about the key challenges?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. So we recognize that from the community engagement process, as well as from our analysis of what had been done with the original CRE plan from 2004, that there's still a lot of work to be done in the district. Now, as Aaron mentioned, we did address a number of the issues that were identified in the original CRA plan.
Professor, I apologize for interrupting you. Cedric, it looks like there's folks that are trying to get into the
I'm
meeting.
trying to do that again. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. But we did go above and beyond what was indicated in the original CRA plan. In fact, we identified 12 specific areas in the document that from our existing conditions assessment and made recommendations for how to address those 12 issues. Let's say we also identified some goals for each one of those 12 categories and offer some policy directives to accompany them as well. So this slide, as well as the next one, talks about some of those key challenges that still remain. And like I said, we do recognize, as Aaron mentioned, the remaining time that's left in the CRA, let's say. So we wanted to make sure that we were putting in the document things that could be addressed, or should be addressed rather, but prioritizing them. Okay, that's going to be a major issue going forward. Okay, because there's a lot. There's 12, like I said, 12 issues. Okay, so addressing remaining slum and blight. Now, here's where we did not find, large concentrations of slum and blight as the original CRA plan indicated. Okay, yes, there are still some pockets of deterioration, but probably on a much more isolated basis. Okay. Improving the vast amount of public property. Vast amount of property in general. Okay, there's still a lot of vacant land in East Tampa. Okay, that vacant property issue needs to be arrested. Okay, because it does contribute to both the appearance as well as the actual existence of slum and blight. Maintaining existing housing stock. We do talk about what has been done. Okay, in terms of the infill development approach, and we see the need to scale that up. Okay, going forward, building on momentum of commercial and industrial economic development activity. When we started this, we recognized that East Tampa is growing. The local economy in the district is also growing. Okay. And again, we see that as a positive trajectory in terms of economic development activity within the district as well. There are some parcels that are still contaminated. That's another issue that needs to be addressed. There aren't any designated brownfields in East Tampa, but there are some sites that do have contamination nevertheless. Preserving historic resources. This is a major issue because, as you well know, there are a lot of older structures in the district, and as one of the community members was mentioning earlier, that as these older houses, in particular, as they continue to age, they're going to need a lot more maintenance and attention. Okay, and let's see. We'll go to the next one. Sit down. Oops, it's not changing.
Do it this way.
Okay. Some other key challenges. If you move that just be off to the left of it, or can we minimize it? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Further enhancements to district streets, public rights of way, and then of course safety is always an issue, as is sort of the image over to the right sort of suggests. Identifying a strategy for alley activation. Now, one of the things that we recognize also that there are a lot of alleys in the district. Okay, not many of them are actually being used, and this caught our attention because the East Tampa overlay from, I forget which year it was. Okay, it provided opportunities for people to build accessory dwelling units. Okay, and we looked at the number of alleys, and I think there's over 100. How many miles? I'm sorry. 25 miles of alleys in the district. Okay, that we see as opportunities. Okay, for gaining access to potential accessory dwelling units behind people's houses. Okay, a lot of those alleys are just vacant. Some are overgrown. But that's a resource that the district, the CRA should be taking advantage of. Okay, continued modernization of infrastructure and utilities. Of course, that's a major issue, an ongoing issue. Okay, as you well know, the city's been involved in upgrading utilities, modernizing infrastructure for some time now. There's still obviously some areas that need attention. Okay. Improving transportation, mobility, and connectivity. Okay, we also recognize that the district is bound by two interstates, on the west and on the south. Okay, and making strategic connections across or underneath rather the interstates to adjacent communities, we see that as really important as well. Okay. So you can go back one more, a couple more. Okay, yes, open spaces and amenities. Again, we've heard a lot about open spaces in the district and the need for even more. And then addressing those edge conditions, like I was mentioning, the interstate roadways. Okay. So these are some of the strategic priorities that we've identified in the policy recommendations that we're making associated with each one of these, and this is the first 6 of those areas that we assessed.
You want to maybe go back to these in more detail during Q&A if we need to?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is the latter 6.
Yes.
12 total.
Right. Okay. We spend a lot of time on, and those show up in section 5 of the document. Okay. In our need for redevelopment, in our assessment of those conditions. We also spend a lot of time in developing chapter 8. And that's what this chapter is entitled, Redevelopment Opportunities. So we do see a lot of different types of redevelopment opportunities throughout the district in the form of, as this first diagram sort of suggests, mixed-use development, neighborhood scale mixed-use development, that is. Okay. And there are a lot of vacant lots that would lend themselves to this type of development. As you can sort of see in these diagrams, the bottom floor in each one of these is intended to be some type of commercial use. Okay. Now, part of our strategy for suggesting that is that we also heard from a lot of people in the community who said they'd like to start a business or like to grow their business. okay, and then and stay, in fact, right in the community. So we see that as a big, as a big plus, okay, if local residents can actually occupy those some of those types of spaces, okay.
If I can interject for just a second, I want to, you all have seen our display boards with all of the community analysis that we did on top of the surveys and interviews. Just want to point out that these redevelopment opportunities are not cut and paste from any community. They are based on a thorough analysis of your community and really feasible redevelopment opportunities that will work within this community.
This first one on neighborhood infill, okay. As you can see in this diagram, we see opportunities for all types of new housing, okay, in East Tampa CRA, okay, starting with the modest scale accessory dwelling units, a garage apartment, let's say, to, of course, single family housing, as well as multifamily housing in different forms, whether it's like what this diagram is showing, so suggesting a townhouse configuration or some small apartment buildings, okay? But we do see opportunities for an awful lot of new housing to be built in the district as well, okay? Another redevelopment opportunity is in the industrial area, primarily on the east side of the district and along the southern portion of the district, okay? There are some vacant industrial buildings there that, well, there's several of them that are actually dilapidated, okay? But we see those as redevelopment opportunities and also opportunities to bolster economic development within the district as well. In addition to that, we see in a couple of different places, not a lot, but opportunities for what we're calling a catalyst development, something major, okay, where let's say a larger scale mixed use development could come in, possibly on one of the major thoroughfares. Okay. Future outlook. Okay, so this graph sort of shows the TIF revenue generation over time, in terms of the revenue that's generated to actually complete a lot of what we've identified in terms of redevelopment opportunities, or for that matter to leverage partnerships with the private sector to bring about a lot of those conditions. Okay. Now, this slide just sort of shows a number of just different images of what has transpired, what's been accomplished over the years. Okay, I know a lot of people still say, well, it's not really all that visible, but remember now, East Tampa is pretty large. It's the largest CRA in the city as well as the state of Florida. Okay, but projects like these are making a difference. They are paying dividends. Now, this is just a timeline from when we got started to where we are today in terms of completing the draft CRA plan update.
We've been at it since October 2024, under contract working on this officially, and next step would be final submittal to the Tampa City Council adoption.
And one last point I wanted to make about the document, as you probably see, it's a pretty voluminous document, but we recognize the need for something like this, given the size of the CRA, and also because of where the CRA is at this point in terms of its existence. Okay. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Ms. Hetland.
There was, I guess if you could touch just a little bit more on some of the actionable items. I know we kind of saw the 30,000 foot view in this presentation, but if you could touch a little bit more on kind of specificity that's above and beyond what the current plan has?
Let's see. Can we go to the redevelopment opportunities slide? Okay. These diagrams indicate what we see as actionable. Okay, we see these as, I won't call them low-hanging fruit, but I think all of these diagrams indicate projects or efforts that could be that are feasible. But yeah, so all, you know, each category that we've identified here. Okay.
These are a sampling. I don't know how many of these we have in the document, but quite a few.
Yes.
Do you feel like what's provided in the document gives enough direction and actionable items for this CRA to have some measurable and, you know, some measurable outcomes, because we have such a short period of time remaining? I guess what I'm getting at is does staff feel, does the CAC feel there's enough actionable direction and kind of additional clarity, no ambiguity, that there's clear direction that's from the community, that these are the steps that can be taken going forward to have positive outcomes for the CAC or the CRA?
We certainly feel that way. I mean, in each of those diagrams, in terms of redevelopment opportunities, you're seeing smaller scale increments of development. Okay, and we see a number of those, let's say, adding up. Okay, but just like any other community or any other place, let's say, development occurs in smaller increments over time. But because again, there's so much vacant land that still needs to be addressed, we see this as a viable strategy moving forward.
Are there any recommendations? Sorry, last one. Are there any recommendations regarding density? I know we talked about this probably several months ago. The comp plan is in the middle of changing. There are some things that are being looked at in terms of transit corridors and very specific sections of that comp plan. Has any of that been taken into account? Or are there recommendations in terms of potential comp plan amendments that could affect East Tampa in order to promote some of the density you're talking about?
In fact, we were following that process of the Land Development Code update, as well as what's starting to transpire with the comp plan. And I would say none of what we're recommending here or suggesting here would require any type of deviates from what already exists or what's being planned. So
there was mention at the beginning of the presentation that about 8% of land is vacant, close to 280 acres. Of those 280 acres, does the CRA currently own any of that acreage?
there are some parcels that's part of that vacant land inventory that are owned by the city. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's just bringing that topic up because one of our neighbors discussed land that's owned by the CRA that hasn't been developed over the course of 10-year average.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of need to take that into the equation of making sure that we're moving forward on the assets that the CRA currently owns.
Already has,
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, a couple things here. Can we go to slide 15, please? So we talk about actionable documents and that this CRP is a roadmap for development, right? So I'm concerned about the progress and development disparity, right? So are we moving at the same rate as our neighboring CRAs? These are commendable projects, but if the CRA was established in 2004, that's been 21 years, nearly 22 years, because we're pretty much at 2026 now. Mm-hmm. And if this is what we have to show for it, how do we expedite the productivity, development, and output over the next 8 years? to make sure that we maximize this opportunity because we don't know if we're going to be able to revisit it after 2034. So the Grant Park project, I think that's a great idea. Fair Oaks, named after my grandpa. I'm very proud of that. So, I mean, that's great skill center, and there are other projects, but are we moving as quickly and efficiently as the neighboring CRAs? It just seems like East Tampa is left out. And I want to make sure that my beloved East Tampa is progressing at the same rate as the other community CRAs or the other neighboring CRAs. When I think about growing up in Tampa and the development I've seen, Riverfront Center, Tampa Heights, Armature Works, Blake, and the brand new Publix that's less than a week old already. I would like to see that in Tampa as well. And I don't have an appreciation for how long it takes. I do know how long the slum and blight were in that area before it was upgraded to what we see now. So I would love to see that across East Tampa as well.
Can I respond to?
Yes, sir.
Finish real quick because he has his 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then after he concludes, you can respond to all of his.
Okay. So now that I've been told to hurry up and shut up, and I look at the development that's underway right now along the Columbus Drive corridor in Tampa Heights from Tampa Street to Florida Avenue and all the high density dwellings that are being built there. It's a move in the right direction for development, but I just don't see it happening in East Tampa. So what do we need to do to create the conditions? And if it's us in this room, maybe we sit down and talk and figure it out if we're the obstacle that's preventing it. But I would love to see that progress in East Tampa. Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me, to respond to your first question about how quickly things are maybe not moving in East Tampa. Yes, I think your observations are correct in that respect. Now, this is just sort of a sampling of a lot of projects that have been built in the district to date. One of the things that we recognized early on was that commercial projects in particular, as well as housing, of course, they are proving the market viability for investing in East Tampa. Okay, that wasn't the case quite some time ago. When I remember when the original plan was first being put together, and there was literally no investment, okay, in the district. Over the years, that's changed. So I think the district is now paused. Posed to move forward at a much more rapid pace. That is, somebody who wants to invest in East Tampa, they don't have to question whether or not there's a viable market here to do so. Okay.
So I don't want to cut you off, but we're running out of time, right? We are running out of time.
Right. Now prioritizing things, that's your response and the city's responsibility in terms of what to pull the trigger on next. Okay. Yes.
And I will reiterate, we are running out of time, and I'm an architect. Okay, we design and oversee the construction of buildings, and you don't do anything in less than a couple of years, nothing substantial. So just, after you got to have an idea, and then you got to prioritize it and then make it happen. So less than 9 years is a short period of time. So it is time to prioritize.
The time is now. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And find partners and community and investors as well.
Thank you.
And what we, sorry.
You can finish, and then we're going to Ms. Ziegler.
Okay.
You had a comment that you.
Okay, yes. And what we see, and that's one of the reasons why we've made so many recommendations here, is that we see a lot of things happening in different parts of the district. Okay. I think at this point, as you well know, it's not time to, it's time to move forward on a lot of things, not just any one issue.
Right.
Okay. So that's why we put so much of this information in the document itself. So.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
No. Public comment is only for the beginning.
Okay, no worries. First time.
But thank you, though. Next time.
I'll save it for the next one.
I have quite a few comments and a couple of questions, which I'll save for the end, so you'll be fresh in your mind. Why is it loud? I appreciate the plan and the scenarios that were laid out, and I like how you pointed out what are the difficult circumstances within East Tampa, some challenges that are still there. But I did like seeing what I call the dream scenes. They're just like, wow, like a curvy brick sidewalk or something, like, wow, that's so I appreciate that you included some possibility slides, like, imagining, who knows what could be possible. And I like how you also focused in the plan about the edge, the CRA edge, because I realized too that if we have a lot of developments happening that are inside the CRA, no one from the outside perimeter will ever see them and see the positive changes we've made. So I like that you put some focus on that. That could be the gateways and so forth, anything on the edge, that's important. Also, preserving our green spaces, very important. Our public spaces, because I know like Channelside right now is really struggling to get a piece of green space for a park. So we have a lot of green space here. Very important to keep that. That's for good public mental health, cooling for the planet. As far as the vast amount of vacant parcels, I think there's like 1,100, or there were. Yes, that really contributes to the appearance of slum and blight, and especially if parcels are falling into disrepair, and it contributes to our public safety problems in some cases. So that's a big deal. Biking, as far as safe bicycling, if there's no sidewalk on some streets actually have 2 sidewalks. If it doesn't even have one single sidewalk, I would discourage putting hard concrete curbs on the streets, because for bicycle safety, if there's no sidewalk to ride on and you're forced to bicycle in the street and there's a hard curb, you're trapped with a car. So I would recommend looking at those streets that are going to get sidewalks. If no sidewalk is going in, do not put a hard concrete curb in.
Ms. Ziegler, I know you wanted to ask a couple questions.
Yeah.
Your 3 minutes are almost up.
Okay.
So I would suggest that you ask the questions.
Okay, as far as the industrial areas, hopefully those are light industrial, not like a smelting factory or something with a lot of pollution. Here's my 2 questions. One of the projections of the TIF graph almost showed like the TIF dollars going down, like it rise, and then there's a little down arrow. I don't know if that's a real projection, that the income of TIF is going down. So, and 2, are the priority corridors that were listed on the bottom corner of one of the slides, are those in order? Because like were they prioritized, like number 1 was Nebraska Avenue. And then it went number 2, 3, 4, 8. I don't know if those are listed in a true priority or it's just a listing.
Not in the true priority.
No.
Just on that thing.
No. They are ranked.
You answer her first question about the TIF dollars, and then we'll allow the team to come back and address the priority corridors.
Okay.
To answer your question, no, we're not anticipating the TIF. The projections we received during the strategic action plan update in 2022, actually incrementally at each year, it's anticipated that we go up. But things happen. A lot of things are happening currently in our government that could change. But the projections that we received, we don't anticipate that.
Okay. And just, I didn't hear the answer about the priority. Those are prioritized or no?
No.
No.
They are ranked.
Community input on about which corridors are of extreme priority. I really believe that that's a great community conversation for us to look at which area we want to target first, because we are limited with time and we can direct our resources and priorities towards those areas. So that
point of clarification, isn't it our job to recommend a prioritization?
we can. You definitely can. Yeah.
Can we make a motion on that this evening?
We will under new business. So just write that down. Thank you. Ms. White.
This looks like the same thing that we've gone through. I guess, how many CRA studies have we done? Is this our fourth or third one that we've come about? I don't really see any progress. What I see here now, we've always asked for sidewalks. I don't see anything going towards that. But to me, it feels personally like East Tampa has been and always will be redlined, and there will be no progress in East Tampa.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I think as I sit here and try to kind of digest all the information, I was really kind of looking for, like some of my members here, like the priority actionable things being suggested here. There's a lot. And I keep hearing, you know, we don't have a lot of time. I keep hearing, you know, our residents are looking for housing. They're looking for all those things. I'm hearing that we are holding property that we are not being actionable on. So I know that we've just discussed this quite a bit. I am really interested in how the room prioritizes projects. Because the last meeting was my first meeting, and we talked quite a bit about, you know, setting aside hundreds of thousands of dollars to put art in the roundabouts. And I'm not really hearing from the public that that's a priority for them in East Tampa. So that's really the bulk of my comment, just to understand how we're prioritizing things and making sure that the actions we're taking are reflecting what the public wants and not what we think is kind of important right now.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your presentation. So Ebony DaCosta for the records, just kind of more or less follow up. I mean, in regards to a concern that I've heard in conversations with residents, business owners, is what were the original goals of the last redevelopment plan, and you know, were those met and not met? And then, you know, how does that differ from the previous plan? So like, you know, what are the primary reasons for specific changes? Because it has been highlighted amongst the community and around our table that, you know, we have to move quickly and swiftly, and we have to be very mindful of how and what we prioritize. So I know that that's been a concern that I've had several conversations about in, you know, what is different this time and what did we actually achieve? And if we didn't achieve that, you know, what does that look like? So that's my first question.
Well, we try. I'm sorry. Can I respond? Yes. Okay. So we try to lay out as many of the sort of the needs for redevelopment in the district in the document. Now, no, we didn't rank all those 12 areas, but we do see them as priority areas, nevertheless. Okay, and I think that's for you to decide moving forward. Okay, but we wanted to make sure you had enough information on all those conditions, all those issues, let's say, to be able to make informed decisions about what you choose to prioritize. Okay, but like I said, at this point, we really see a number of things being prioritized simultaneously.
I'll expand on that a little bit. So it seems like there's going to be some additional discussion after this on prioritizing. I think everybody's ready to do the work of that. As you go into that, here's how to use our document. We do list the priorities of the original document. Here, neighborhoods, affordable housing, improving existing infrastructure, economic opportunities, safety, reducing crime. Those really do hold true to what are the priorities that, at least what we heard from the community, even present day. It really does hold true now. So with those priority goals paired with locations that have been identified, where was that? No, that's not it. The community corridor priorities in which these things will happen, and with the illustrations on exactly how to do it, that is the recipe. You don't. It takes multiple parts of this document to find out where it happens, what it is, and how to do it. Now, prioritizing which corridor, or in which priority, is it safety, is it housing, and then finding the solution to do it. That's the work to be done. So.
You're done? Okay. I'm going to ask that our presenters as well as staff grab some paper and pen so you can hear everything that I'm saying. I may be a little scatterbrained. There's no order, but I want to make sure that I address everything. When I think about an update starts with an impact report based on what has been accomplished. I did not see that in this report based on what has been accomplished since 2004. We cannot identify what's priority if we don't know by data what has been done when it comes to housing, when it comes to economic development, then and now. I do not see a stark contrast to be able to see the difference. On slide 15, there were several things that was mentioned. Even what has been some highlights, it is discouraging and it is disparaging that I did not see any large scale housing project on there. There is no large scale housing project. Neither is there anything to discuss manufacturing and jobs. East Tampa is a manufacturing district. There are several organizations here, and we could have done something to be able to partner with that and have a CRA project to be able to do that. Another thing is I'm not seeing much difference between this update that is supposed to be then with our strategic action plan. That's why, because it's not led with data or actionable steps to where we can say, based on the data, this is where you need to go. When we come off of this board, whoever is left, who's coming, they won't have much to deal with based on this CRP. So to me, I think that this is a more colorful presentation of the strategic action plan, and it did not give the levity of what I'm looking for. There were some keywords in this document: develop, approach, but there was no plan on how to develop, how to approach. There's a section in there about infill development. Well, we have a current housing stock in East Tampa with properties and with parcels that have not been touched. Those are, that is resources to develop our infill. So I think we need to look at that. And when it comes to new business, I'm going to make several motions tonight. Number one, I want there to be an internal audit about the development and the lack thereof, and the process of how long it takes for a project to be done in East Tampa compared to other CRAs, because there is nothing there based on impact to give us that. The second thing I'm gonna make a motion on, I'm gonna turn it over to the vice chair about a sunset extension. We can petition city council to go to a county commission for our sunset date to be renewed, to be updated from 2034. I'm asking for another 5 years to be added to that plan. And then I'm going to also ask that we have a workshop for our community so we can prioritize what our corridor priorities are. So I hope staff got everything I just said, because this CRP is not an update. It is connected to our strategic action plan, because there is no data of where we have been from 2004 to where we are now. Where is the economic increase? What is the median home income from 2004 to 2005? We cannot address certain priorities if we don't have data to deal with. I'm not for sure how much time I have. Is that it? Yeah. So you can address that, and I'll do the rest in new business.
All right.
Hello, Chair. It's Mimi. I'd like to have my time.
Yes, you were next. You were next. I got you.
Thank
I didn't
you.
forget you.
Thank you for your presentation this evening. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that I saw that we can definitely do. As far as the 25 miles of alleyways, I know West Tampa's also has been evaluating how they can activate the alleyways. So that is something definitely that we can also try to do. As far as economic opportunities and what we can do for our industrial area, I know that Tampa, the Tampa Bay Economic Development Council, in partnership with the CDC, has come up with a plan already called the East Tampa Industrial District. That's going to be an area of opportunity for us to have a hub in East Tampa to draw in more jobs. And we also already saw how that's already attracted a private developer, the Ashley company, to come in and bring in some affordable housing. So we are seeing some changes already. So that is a good thing that I see too. And also as far as the redevelopment opportunities with the infill development, we've started to see that already with the Osborne project. And the Clonts are preparing to do that as well. And then also the Heritage Heights that CDC is doing, second reading is this Thursday for that to be approved. And I also know that they plan on bringing in a local grocery store too to that project. So I really do appreciate that. I think the difference between the CRP then and the CRP now is just the way the city of Tampa is developing so rapidly. We are getting pressured now because, as B Parks has said many times, East Tampa, she gets a lot of requests from developers to partner with East Tampa and the CRA. They want that CRA money now in East Tampa. So I think what's happening is that the city of Tampa is growing so quickly that it's starting to move over on this side of town, and we're starting to see the pressure of it. We need to use that in our favor. So I think all of these are good things that are happening now. It's just because times have changed and the whole city of Tampa is rapidly developing. It's just a matter of time that East Tampa is next. Our priority as a CAC is to make sure that we are in the driver's seat and as a committee that we're making sound decisions on these affordable housing projects like the Heritage Heights, like the Osborne project, like the Clonts project, supporting the CDC into developing that East Tampa industrial area so that we can be a hub. If you look at the other CRAs, they all have a hub that's attracting developers. Tampa Heights has Armature Works. Channelside started off with the aquarium. When the aquarium was put there back in the 1990s, it wasn't even a CRA yet. That CRA in Channelside didn't start until 2004. And the whole wheel of observation, that was a plan that was, the aquarium is managing that property that the city owns, and they're subleasing that parking lot to this private developer. But that aquarium acquired that land with the city of Tampa before it was even a CRA. That was back in the 1990s. So there was no RFP process necessary for that. I know I'm getting a little bit off track here, but I just want to instill some optimism into us because all of these other CRAs have a hub that they're attracting private developers to come in. So now it's our time in East Tampa, and our hub is potentially going to be the industrial district. Once we get that up and running, then we can start to build upon that. And I really do believe that that's going to be what's going to bring some new energy and some new eyes on East Tampa. So thank you so much for this presentation. And I look forward to having further discussion. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear it. I appreciate the optimism, and I didn't hear any direct questions from that speaker. I could address yours?
Yes, please. Okay. Thank you. And I have the plan in front of me in case you want to tell me a particular page to go to in case I miss something.
Okay. All right. Very good. So as far as an impact report on what the priorities were and what was done with the original document, I will not say that we have that exactly. We do have a chapter that addresses that on and around page 10 of the document as we're leading in. Data was limited from back then. So we wanted to incorporate more data that ultimately was not available. We do have some pages written on exactly that, though. Manufacturing jobs, I think that wonderful idea. There is an industrial segment of East Tampa. There is an interest in developing workforce within East Tampa. That's happening now. And once you have a skilled workforce, manufacturing jobs come. So I think you're on your way there.
But is that written in the plan so others will be able to say that this is, the area we need to follow? And the only reason why I'm doing it because you were addressing me.
Yes, sir.
It's an update, so that needs to be there.
I agree with you. It wasn't prioritized in any of the interviews nor surveys. I absolutely agree with you. Alignment with the strategic action plan. I don't want this document to fool anybody. It has a lot of pretty pictures that are reminiscent of the strategic action plan, but it's also a policy document. It also has strategic objectives. It does have some real meat in between all the pretty pictures. It is both. But it is ultimately a policy document that does not drill down. It is actionable. It allows you to do anything and everything that you need to do for this community within the very, very broad parameter of this document. It is thorough, and it allows you to now make priorities and make it actionable. Okay. Existing housing stock. We have a section that fully addresses existing housing stock. There have been, through the roof program and other grant programs, substantial investment on existing housing stock within the community. Internal audit of the time that it takes to get projects going that's not me.
That's not you. No, that's not you.
Sunset petition.
That's not you.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Support it, please. Yeah, let's get it going. And then home income then versus now. We did do a lot of economic data work. Did we go back as far as knowing home values of 2004? I'm not sure. It was more about
we didn't have that data.
Today's data.
Back that far.
Yeah.
So you see the disadvantage we're at as a community, because that data that the city should have been protecting about where this community is was not even released to you to do a thorough update. So that's not fair to you guys as architects, but it is disparaging for us as a community to continue to push. We can't even say that there's been a win or a gain because we don't have anything to justify it, quantify that based on accurate data. So that's the community's outrage. Show us where we were, show us where we are, give the community some wins that we can work on. And this is beyond you guys. I'm speaking to staff as well. We have to talk about our wins. Until then, the community is going to continue to feel outraged and feel left behind because nobody is celebrating what we're doing that we can see. There are some things that are happening, but is it enough?
Is it for the uplifting of the people?
Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
No, we are.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
At this time, we're going to have where we.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you.
That's actually an excellent segue into this next sort of informal agenda item. Director McCray and I, we wanted to take the opportunity at tonight's meeting to talk about the Planning and Design Awards that took place a couple of weeks ago. And we were talking about, successful projects in East Tampa. That award sitting at the front of the table in front of you all is an excellent example of that. So Each year, the Planning Commission, they select a panel of non-local planning experts to review submissions for projects that enhance the quality of life, economic development, and historic preservation all throughout Hillsborough County's communities. This year, we're excited to announce that the Skill Center received the highest award designation of Outstanding Contribution to the Community in the investment category. The completion of the Skill Center, it wouldn't have been possible really without the $500,000 allocation made by the East Tampa Community Advisory Committee. And it's a true testament to your commitment to foundational and longstanding change. So without further ado, congratulations. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about the award. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. B. Parks, Tampa CRA Housing Survey, Tampa CRA Housing Supervisor.
You can't even get on these kids.
Skillful athlete. Give you a free car and you crash it, because give you a free car, who cares?
Can everybody online see the screen? Okay, it's about to come up. All righty. What's today? Tuesday, right? Happy Tuesday. I'll start off with that. So briefly, this is the presentation that I'm going to present November 13th because we are treading along. And it was requested by the board to provide some feedback from pretty much some updates from the feedback that we've been receiving for the housing program, specifically centered around the unit creation and conversion program for the record B parks. Can you go to the next one? Okay, so is it working? Okay. So some of the objectives for that meeting will be reviewing the community feedback, collecting overall proposed timeline, and also the housing policy discussion moving forward. To the next slide. Alrighty, so let's look at the feedback. So everyone, I'm sure, filled out the survey. We've been collecting feedback, I want to say, for maybe 2 years, but it got hot and heavy this last year. So it's always feedback about how to center our rehab program, our down payment assistance, which is our most successful, but I'll leave that later, and our development and field and all of that. So we've collected feedback. September, I proposed a process because the first come, first serve, got some feedback on that, and that wasn't working out. So then we went ahead and proposed the new process of having a formalized application period, 2 cycles, and then moving forward with a 5-member committee. So that's what I presented in September. So based off of that, I launched a survey back in September 26th. It had approximately 12 questions that were centered around the housing needs, funding cycles, the evaluation criteria, and the community involvement in reviewing and approving those projects. Survey included section for additional input on CRA housing programs, and we got over 90 response for the survey during that time. But this is considered to be feedback with all the CACs. I'm making my round with the CACs to collect the additional feedback, and you'll see the timeline. All right, so yeah. Okay, so we all know this importance of workforce housing. So over 80%, this was for the entire Tampa CRA. So this wasn't just East Tampa. But over 80% of those response indicated strong support to address, again, housing costs, neighborhood stability, access to ownership, and rental options. So the second portion of this, you can go next, was the funding cycle structure. So asked two questions centered around that. The first question was, as part of a formalized application cycle, should we have one or two funding cycles? Yes or no? So it was yes in support majority of the two application funding cycles, right? So the second question was, if the process contains two funding cycles, do you want one for the large scale developers and the one for the small scale developers? So you could compare apples with apples, oranges to oranges. That was in strong support to outline opportunities for small scale developers. So now we have the answer to that. Two cycles, one large, one small. Go to the next one. Okay, so as we know, let's look at the most needed housing types. So the question was, what type of housing do you feel are most needed in your community? So these were the options: affordable multifamily for below 80%, affordable multifamily rental units for working families up to 140%, affordable single families, homes for purchase, senior housing, permitted support housing, and also other. We left an other range on that. Where it went. Okay, so after that, I then gauged and as you see, well, you can't see it, but affordable home ownership opportunities is number one. People want to purchase housing, right? The second is workforce rental housing. So again, looking at very low, moderate, and then of course workforce is up to 140% AMI. They also answered that they want mixed income. So it's not concentration of poverty that is only centered for 80% or below. They want 80s to be with hundreds, with 120s and 140. That's how you stimulate economic growth. You have to have mixed income. The next part of this is family size units. They want to be able to have 2 to 3 bedroom units in these developments, just not studios, just not one bedrooms. So now the selection committee for this, because it was brought up, okay, let me gauge the interest of the community about who will sit on the selection committee that will review these projects when they come in to score them. So each CRA will have 5-member selection committee, including someone from the CRA housing staff, someone from the housing community development staff, because no matter what, moving forward and how it's been working for down payment, and I was part of the housing staff before, so I know the process. This is a partnership. We have to leverage each other's dollars to push this moving forward. So having 2 representatives from staff. Now we asked, what are the other seats, other people you want to fill those seats? So suggested additional representatives was a CAC member. So they want a member from the CAC to sit on the selection committee. It could be the chair, preferably the chair, co-chair, or nominated by the body of a professional that might know about development and is able to sit on that community. So now you have that committee. Moving forward, additionally, they want to see a subject matter expert. So someone who's heavily in development, heavily in finance, both preferably to sit on that committee. And then, of course, a community stakeholder, which includes a resident. So they said resident representation matters. I got mixed reviews from this question, actually. The good percentage of the answer said they don't want CAC involvement and it should be a resident because CAC is being biased. That was the answer. Just put it full transparency. This is what came back. Then the other option is community members. That can be a community stakeholder, a local business, just again, residents. So this was what was answered and responded for the selection committee. So other feedback collected. So please share any additional feedback, concerns, or suggestions about the unit creation and conversion program or other CRA housing initiatives. So when you sum all this up, the community wants qualified developers. They want these buildings to last. Number two, they want the application process to be clear and simple. Number three, they want us to look at creating a community land trust. That came up multiple times. Number four, ensuring proper monitoring. All of these projects will have the 50-year affordability period. So the community wants to know how we're going to monitor those projects for those 50 years, okay? And then number five is keeping developers accountable. They're very into accountability for the developers. Move forward, sir. All right, so here goes the scoring criteria. And out of the scoring criteria that I proposed back in September, three of the major scoring criterias I dived in a little bit further. Number one is income. What income do you want me to serve? Okay, so the income priorities by ranked order. Number one, serving the moderate income households. 50 to 80% AMI came number one. Number two, serving the lowest at 30%, making sure that we have units for those families. And number three came up to serving workforce households. That is 80 to 140% AMI. So you can see that's kind of what we're seeing statistically out there. 80% is top, 30% is difficult to do, but it's still there, and we're still making units for that. And then of course there goes that workforce housing up to 140% AMI. You could go to the next one. So another area that they wanted to see some improvements with ranking is supporting small scale developers is number one. So again, that's under 20 units, making sure that there's enough funding for small scale developers. This might be property owners. This is definitely the property owners that own their property for years. Number two, supporting developers with strong experience / capacity, over 20 units. And then the third one, they wanted to add some scoring criteria for creative out-of-box projects. That is not your regular bricks and sticks. That's looking at modular housing. That's looking at other 3D printing. That's looking at all of that to produce. Like, what is that developer doing, and what creative out-of-box housing ideas do they have? And again, what also always resonates is the developer's experience. They just want that person, that firm, to be able to build this housing. So moving forward to the next one. Project characteristics, I ranked those. In first place came, look at that, first place, ensuring mixed income housing options, number one. Number two, ensuring proximity to jobs and transportation. Number three, adding community service spaces, retail, green space, etc. Number four, ensuring energy efficient units. So these are the project characteristics that they want to make sure that we add either extra points to or give more leverage to. So again, income, development experience, and project characteristics. Now we're moving on to the next one. So, huh?
Couple more minutes.
Okay. So the emerging themes of this, to wrap it up, the emerging themes is resident representation matters in project review. They want the residents to sit at the table. Okay. So what's the proposed solution to that? This is my proposed solution. Having representation on the CRA selection committee, being that third person. Okay. Along with the CAC. Themes, demand for family size units, land availability issues. What's my solution for that? Ooh, I'm gonna have a busy first quarter next year, Mr. McCray. I'm gonna have a busy first quarter because guess what? That's when all the RFPs are gonna come out. Okay. So what does that mean? Halifax is coming out. Osborne is coming out. The Gator building. The third one, infills. Phases. Booming in East Tampa. That's going to be East Tampa soon. First quarter, RFPs are going out. So all the demand for family size units, All the demand that we're talking about here is going to be put in that document for that developer to respond and to build that housing. Okay. And then desire for ongoing updates. I get it. This is the bad part of us, right? Updating our website, our project pages, social media, impact reports, along with our GIS mapping page that's going to wrap up. That's a public forward-facing page that everyone can see what we're doing. Half of my data is already inputted in that. Okay? Half of my data. Moving forward. Okay, so staff. So this is just going to go ahead to the other part. Okay. This was the initial proposed process. Formalized application cycle, structured process, selection committee, issue for RSA, evaluation criteria. Okay, my time is up. Sorry. Any questions?
Will this be included in minutes or be sent out to us?
Yeah. Okay. And I do apologize because it is hot out of the press.
Ms. Jones.
No, I was gonna ask what.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we should have had this to look at and review.
Yeah.
Good job. I always appreciate your enthusiasm and drive and appreciation for what you do. It goes recognized. So I want you to know that. I appreciate when you're here and when you give updates because you truly are an example of what the city of Tampa needs when it comes to doing this for the community. So I appreciate what it is that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I am looking here. Sir.
Ms. Ziegler.
You good? Ms. Ziegler.
Ms. White.
Ms. White.
No questions. Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
B, Ms. Parks, thank you. Question.
Yes.
Last fiscal year, we ended how much down payment assistance?
Oh, no, he's going to take the glory of that. I can't. He told me to not give no updates. I take the glory. You do the success.
Thank you, let's give Ms. Parks. Let your team shine. Okay. All right, staff reports, and then we're gonna get to new business. You have a motion, I have a couple of motions. The East Tampa Project Tracker, it is in our packet. Do you want to share anything about that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Things up to date.
All right, commercial.
Larger.
She wants larger, so could we do 11 by 14 for Ms. White? Anybody else request a larger print?
Actually, I'm glad Ms. White mentioned that because we actually have increased the font size on that and taken out some of the columns to make it a little bit more easy to read. But because Ms. White had asked, yeah, I do have one because I normally meet with the grant team the first Tuesday of the month. So that's your copy, Ms. White. We'll make sure that all of the members of the CAC have the tablet size or tabloid size copy moving forward.
I brought mine the last time.
Can we minimize the shade around the table? Okay. Commercial grants tracker, any updates on that?
That was it.
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
now you want to steal your staff member shine.
Yes.
What's your report?
So I want to remind you all. So I think I've been in the role a little over 3.5, almost 4 years. And at that point in time, the request was for housing and housing rehab. We had a tree trimming program. That program, we spent $1.5 million over the last 3 years. Very successful. So successful that we had a directive from one of the board members to put more money in it. And primarily that is East Tampa. I have calls from people from Sefner, from Clearwater, from Davis Island. Hey, can you all come cut our trees? And I say, unfortunately, no, we cannot because your property is not located in the East Tampa CRA. So that's number one. The reason I stopped Ms. Parks is because I wanted to highlight some of the things that I don't think that you all may recall, but I'm going to ask you to go to your budget. Each of you has a copy of the budget. And if you'll indulge me, Chair Johnson, if you look at the housing rehab and renovation program and the total consumption, these numbers are from September of 2025. So this is the end of the fiscal year. These aren't trued up yet, We'll have those numbers in next month. But I want you to see the amount of money.
Number 4 or 5.
Four. No, I'm sorry, 5. Affordable housing initiatives. Over $1 million has been spent through our housing rehab and renovation program. That is for seniors that live and work in this community. And we have, and not just me, but Ms. Parks and her team have worked with through the JOC program. And I just got an email this evening from our director of purchasing, and I don't even know if Ms. Parks knows this. I just forwarded it to her while I was sitting here. We're actually being recognized for the JOC program and the housing program that we have. That is a national recognition that I literally just found out about here 30 minutes ago. So I wanted to highlight this. Next item down payment assistance. Now this is just East Tampa. This is not the other 8 CRAs in the city. $2 million has been spent in down payment assistance. Those are new homeowners in East Tampa. As long as their property is within the boundaries of the East Tampa CRA, and that is in partnership with the Housing Community Development Department, or the housing arm of the city, and some of the housing counseling agencies. And those, and I sign off on those almost weekly. They can be somewhere between 15, but a majority of the money that's given out. And I believe Mr. Costa actually spoke to this several months ago because she knew someone that had benefited from the program. So that's $2 million. The priority from this body in 22, 23, hey, we need to do more for housing. That's been our focus. So I want to take you back down. Emergency roofing program. We did 97 roofs, and that was the litmus test prior to us doing the housing rehab and renovation program. 97 roofs. $1.5 million was spent of CRA money, TIF dollars from East Tampa for housing. Tell me how many folks, when we had the storms last summer, that realized and probably were thinking, whomever, that they got money from the East Tampa CRA. Now, whether or not they've acknowledged it, came and said thank you, we can tell some testimonies, but that's allocations and dollars that were approved in the budget from this body. I'm going to go down. The land assemblage. Last year alone, $1.4 million. As you know, we have been trying to assemble parcels for future development. When we have the consultants, Professor Green and his team, that are talking about transformative projects, that is what we're setting the stage for. I know there was comments about the Gator building. The reason why entities haven't been successful there because it's not enough space. There's no parking. Businesses that went into that building, because there were 2 or 3 spots on the street on Lake Avenue, and then you had another property that was problematic. We've actually, and you all have approved and recommended the purchase of those properties. So we've eliminated that issue. Now we're setting the stage, as Ms. Park shared. We're going to, and I've been very vocal with our team, and we're working with other city departments to go ahead and set the stage so that we can get these RFPs out for future development. For the Gator building, for the properties on Palafox, as well as the church property that was demolished earlier this year on 12th and Osborne. So those are all projects that are very transformative right here in East Tampa. That is not happening in any other CRA in this city. So I hear some of the sentiment that comes from the public, but we are working very hard to bring these things into fruition, and it takes time. It takes time. So I'm going to go on through the budget again. If you look at section 9, where it says historic preservation, last year, Noreen Copeland Miller, God rest her soul, miss her to death. If you remember, she was very adamant about the fencing at Memorial Park Cemetery. I'm here to tell you also, Mr. Robinson provided an update a few months ago. The restoration of the Veterans Memorial and the monument has been done. We were moving forward to try to get that done in preparation for the Veterans Day program that I believe is taking place on November 15th. And Ms. White may want to speak to that, at the conclusion of the meeting. So I just want to kind of point out that we have several things that are in the pipeline. It doesn't always move as fast as some may want, but we are listening, and we're trying to be as focus as possible to move some of these projects along. But it is a heavy lift. It is a heavy lift. So I just wanted to highlight some of that during my manager's report, and say that I think you all should pat yourselves on the back, because within the last year, we've spent a considerable amount of dollars for the betterment of East Tampa. And I mean, we've put, I can't say we've put a lot of money into the housing stock in East Tampa, and we're going to do more. Ms. Parks is, I mean, I think we've encumbered with about $3.8 million for housing rehab moving forward this year. So, and it's going to continue to happen. If you look at your commercial grants report, what's been allotted for businesses in East Tampa. You've heard from some business owners this evening that they're landing the plane on their commercial interior and exterior grant. And even beyond with the legislative changes, we are still trying to find creative ways, and that hopefully that was shared, or you were able to see that during the community engagement session that we did on the 13th. We're still trying to find creative ways to get the money out the door into the property owners, business owners that are in need. So just wanted to say those things. And if I could circle back to the presentation for the community redevelopment plan, just know the TIF dollars that we're working with now is night and day from 2004. It's night and day from 2009 because of the economic downturn that we've had. The level of investment that we're doing to improve the housing stock and other infill development that is taking place, those are the dollars that we're spending right now. So, and the trend is going to continue unless something cataclysmic happens, across the country. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So I will conclude my comments there. There are a couple other things that I would like to highlight that is in your packet. The solid waste department and their Brownsville coordinator they're looking for a representative from East Tampa. There is a site that is slated on Hillsborough Avenue for future redevelopment, and they reached out to me late last week, early this week, and I said that I would share that information. And the gentleman's name is Victor Grosso, and I thought that he may be on virtually or one of his representatives, but that is his contact information. I did have a individual in the back of the room earlier say that she may be interested, but I wanted to bring that to the members of the CAC, and you can reach out to Victor if you have any questions. I also wanted to highlight the calendar for FY26, or starting in January, with the meeting dates and times, so that you all have that for your information. And then also I'm sharing something from a homegrown Hillsborough conference, and there's a flyer in there as well, because I was asked to provide that to our CAC members. And then last but not least, before I conclude, I wanted to share with you all, if you may notice that Ms. Henderson is not here. She and I did have some conversations late last week, and she has tendered her resignation. And but she did ask me to read her email, so I will do that at this time. Dear Mr. Cedric McCray and members of the East Tampa CAC, I hope this message finds you well. This letter follows my recent conversation with CRA Manager Cedric McCray regarding my decision to step down from the East Tampa Community Advisory Committee. After much reflection, I've realized that balancing my demanding professional role and my growing commitment to the Cemetery Society requires my full attention at this time. So I won't go through the entire email, but Ms. Henderson did request that I read that to you and share that with you for the record.
Thank you, Mr. McCray.
Thank you.
Your report is acknowledged. We will have feedback. Anything for Mr. McCray?
I think that was wonderful. Arm us with that information and we can take it back to our communities, particularly the progress that was made. It helps us to articulate, and in the Army, we call it StratCom, but we have to communicate our progress so people understand exactly what we're doing. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I was just gonna thank you for those, Cedric, and I'm fully aware of the progress we've made. And in fact, every year the CRA posts a little blurb. It's like 10 to 20 items sometimes of things that have been accomplished, new businesses that have come in, like, Walmart or schools were fixed up, the library, I mean, whatever. There's this huge list every year, and I don't have my hands on it, but I've seen it a few times, and it's always very impressive to see that if the storyline is nothing's happening, nothing's changing. That's not true.
Thank you. Ms. White?
For the record, that's a great idea. For the record, and I have been asking ever since I've been on this board, that at the end of each term, that there be a progress, outcome, goal, initiative report that is left for the new incoming board members so that they'll know what we've done, what we've completed, or what we have not completed. We need to have some kind of plan in order that we can refer back to that is in a part of our records.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where do we communicate accomplishments throughout time?
We have an annual report that's done annually. As a matter of fact, I just handed one because I had a request from someone in the audience for a copy of it. So that is where each CRA is highlighted within that annual report.
Anything like social media or the surveys that reach the public?
Yes, we have social media platforms. We have Instagram,
LinkedIn, we have IG,
X,
Facebook,
Instagram,
LinkedIn,
Facebook, yes,
and
LinkedIn.
You can register on our website to receive updates.
And it's not just East Tampa focus, it's covering all of our CRAs. So, yes.
Just for the public information, where do they go so that they can register?
Tampa.gov/CRAs, and underneath it says sign up for updates. The performance report, let them know, Mr. McCray. There's also performance reports that are set up to state, but that also shows expended money. Now that's a new requirement from the legislator, and that's due to the state December. So that's even before the annual report. The annual report is fluffy and stuff that shows true numbers in December.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, the report I'm asking for is similar to what you're saying, but not as an annual report, and she used a good verbiage there, fluffy. We want the facts, just plain straight out, so we'll have something to go back and see what we have. I think the annual report is nicely done, but I just think we need down and dirty details.
That goes back to my point that I was making earlier about that impact report being very specific. For an example, all of us participated in a localized DOGE process as a board. We looked at when CRAs were potentially being on the chopping block in the last legislative session. What is it that we can cut from out of the budget and what can we add to? So as you highlighted your staff, we got to highlight the board because we went through that budget to say we want to move dollars. So that was a success, a combined success. But when you talk about down payment assistance, we would like to know how many homes was that? Those are those small things that we're talking about. So I don't know who's in the CRE office. And now this is, I think, one of the concerns when now you have a centralized office that services all of the CRAs instead of just having a staff dedicated just to each individual CRA, because this is something that they can update individually instead of something, across board. So if we can just get some of those updates, that would be great. So all right, new business number 6.
Chair, it's Mimi.
Yes, please forgive me. It is not on purpose. Please forgive me. Thank you. Please go ahead.
That's okay. So thank you, Cedric, for bringing us back to reality and showing the numbers. I appreciate that. Sometimes we just need to keep looking at the numbers and just keep reminding ourselves that we might be crawling at this point, but we are moving forward. And I agree with my peer Andrea. We need the down and dirty details, right? So just like Cedric gave it to us now, we also need to make sure that when we're hearing things from people outside the CAC who are talking about how we're not moving as fast as other CRAs go and giving us figures about years versus how many years it takes us to do something versus another CRA, how many years it takes them to do. Where are the details? I'd also like to know, like, where is that data coming from and how did that average come about, because it's all about transparency and accountability, and we also have to hold each other to that same measure too, not just the CRA agency and not just the city of Tampa, but also we have to make sure that whatever we're sharing amongst ourselves, that we have the data to prove that. So I do like that you highlighted the facts, Cedric, so that we can see that number. I believe in equity and justice, but I believe the way that we get that is through transparency and accountability. So we have to have that data, not just opinions, so we can know exactly what we're working with. So thank you again for your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. In the way of new business, we'll start with you, Mr. De Leosa.
Yeah, is there any way to put that presentation back up and then the prioritization of the community corridors? Been a lot of conversation as it relates to job creation, so I think we should probably look at the main commercial corridors first. No prioritizing. So I wrote down Nebraska, Hillsborough, and Columbus. Yeah, so I saw that those are there, right?
On 7th Street. So what was number one? Nebraska?
But that's not in any priority order.
No, I know
right?
it isn't. I'm asking you what you had on.
Well, I think when we're talking about Hillsborough, what portion of Hillsborough Avenue are we talking about? Are we talking about Hillsborough and Nebraska East? Are we talking about Hillsborough and Nebraska going west? Is there a way to
275. So
from 275?
Yeah, our boundaries end at 275. So I'm thinking, so I'm thinking Hillsborough going up to 40th Street, almost to 48th or something like that. Right at 50. 50 is where it cuts off. So you're looking at pretty much all of that.
All of that.
Also, there's a lot of things, I know this is your time, but just to think about it, think about how many car dealerships that are on on Hillsborough.
And on Nebraska too.
Yeah,
Nebraska and Florida, right?
Yeah.
So there's a significant amount.
It's predatory.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Do we want to prioritize this from 1 to 8, or do we want to just give our top 3 priorities?
I would.
Just conversation amongst us, right?
Yes, sure. Mimi, go ahead.
I think it's important for us to also consider that although we can make our own prioritizations of corridors, we have to look and see where the development is happening right now, because there are city projects and things that are going on around those corridors that are outside the CRA that's going to, whether we want it to be a priority or not, I guess is what I'm saying. It depends on what the city's plans are. So if you're going to have private development, that's going to like what my peer Cedric said about Columbus Drive, that's building up. And that's just building up. And that's private development that's happening. So I would just say that to caution, if we make this prioritization list, just to be realistic, because Nebraska Avenue is not going to develop anytime soon. I'm just telling you that right now. So it takes time, and it takes that private development to come in to really give us that boost that we need. And then we can piggyback off of that. So I would just say we might want to consider Hillsborough Avenue seems to be the hot spot right now because we have the new where the Funland was at. So I would say pick a corridor that already has development happening outside the CRA with private development, and then piggyback off that.
All right, so go ahead. Can we prioritize Hillsborough Avenue as priority number 1?
We did discuss having some community engagement around that as well. So I think that you're right. I think for us to start with some foundation as we talk to the community, I think it will be, should we send out a survey or should we do a workshop bringing in the community? Excuse me.
So Ms. Parks, step up.
Can I interject?
Yes, state your name for the record, please, sir.
Bryce Beringer, CRA staff. If you are all looking for a map, it's on page 135 of the CRP document, so.
Oh, I have my page.
I kind of have
For the record, I was going to mention the map to do the community engagement surrounding the map. So if we put that on a board, couple of boards,
Okay.
the priority list, and then go ahead and kind of between everyone kind of look at what's already being done in those areas. Like referencing Mimi, I completely agree with her because that starts building out. If Hillsborough already has the marquee, I remembered it, marquee. I always want to call it something else. The marquee, then we can censure kind of start with that area and then move. But I think that should be.
You have the floor, but I would suggest, even though we don't have a publicly noticed CAC meeting for December, that I'll be willing for us to have a workshop for this in lieu of our meeting in December to start that engagement so we won't have to keep waiting. We want to make sure that the ball is rolling and moving forward. So that would be my suggestion for December. Yes, Ms. Headley.
Can I add one thing to this? And I know I keep harping on this, but 2 months ago, maybe, City Council, the MPO went in front of City Council. And the City Councilman Chair, Clendenin, kind of wiped most East Tampa corridors off of the designation for being transit corridors. Yes.
Well, I know more about it.
Yes, and it was concerning. That being said, last month, they came and gave an update about timeline on how this is going. And Lynn Hurtak made a motion to revisit some of those corridors that were kind of wholesale removed.
That's right.
But part of that was having true community discussions with the communities affected, because kind of blanket took out MLK, took out MLK, took out 22nd, took out Columbus, took out a bunch of corridors
Like people back.
in East Tampa, that those corridors just lost the opportunity for density. But this December, if that's the way you want to go, that conversation about transit corridor dovetails nicely
Absolutely.
into that and the timeline.
Last comment for Mr. DeLeosa, and then if he has a motion, we will entertain
Let's
that.
go ahead and make a motion to schedule a workshop.
Ms. Ziegler, 1 second.
Well, I just wanted to say that I was very concerned by your statement on that. I actually called Alan Clendenin to get a confirmation of it, and he said he put a stake in the ground. He wasn't getting feedback, so he just took a couple of them to put a stake in the ground to further elicit more feedback.
Oh, no.
That's concerning when
that's
all
a
it's
lie.
all of the East Tampa corridors that got removed. That was concerning to me.
Yes, it is.
Mr. DeLeosa.
Motion to schedule our December meeting as a workshop to discuss
The community got to
prioritization
have
of
input.
the corridors.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, it's been made motion and second. And the motion is for our December time to be a public workshop to discuss this particular topic. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Staff has notated that. Staff will let us know if that is, because it's something that we're adding to the calendar, if it can be done. If not, I will ask that staff will come back with a creative way for us to have public input. If we cannot meet in person, to send out a survey. Yes, sir.
I got new business.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I may be considered amoral or a pagan for my comment, but we're in the business of helping to make recommendations for the prioritization of resources, right? So let's please strike the invocation and the pledge from the opening comments of our agenda. So I move that we strike item 1 from our agendas going forward, and that item 1 is the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Is there is there a second?
Second.
All in favor by saying aye? Opposed? No. I'm opposed to that. We follow
I'm
the same.
opposed. This is Mimi. I'm
Yep.
opposed as well.
Yeah, so let's do a roll call. In favor, raise hands raised and we'll call names.
Jones.
1. Ms. White?
What are we doing? It's not clear.
It's your motion.
No, I don't understand your vote procedure. That's what I'm asking.
We're doing a roll call for your motion.
So roll call is to call every person asking how they vote.
We could do it either way.
Okay.
You can do it either way. That's why it's by raising hand and calling names. Ms. Jones, Ms. White, is there any?
I'm voting for
Yes, in favor
removal of that
yes,
agenda.
So there are 3. Opposed?
Carlos Solosa.
Medlin.
And we need to consult.
If you don't believe it. Jeffrey Johnson.
Mimi.
Motion has failed. Thank you for that. Any more new business? I will turn it over to the vice chair. I would like to make a motion. My motion is that we send to city council, and Mr. McCray, you will have to help me with the nomenclature of this, that our sunset date for our CRA is extended to 2039, that this proposal is possible based on statute. And we need to put it in the form of a motion so city council can work on that with the county. So
Second that. Discussion.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to maybe request a friendly amendment that instead of 5 years, that it extends to 10 years. I think there's precedent for other CRAs that have extended 10 instead of just 5. And I think that in this case, that would be.
I amend my motion for 10 years to, because West Palm Beach is 2044. So we do know it can go that long. And they've gone over 30 years.
Downtown and head to downtown head.
So sunset for 2044.
Second that motion.
So second that. You gotta do it. It's on the vice chair.
Okay, Mr. Daly.
Motion's been made and
It's been
seconded.
made.
Yeah.
It's
Is there
been
any
made.
further discussion
Any
on the
further
motion?
discussion? Because Ms. Headley has some discussion. No, we're done?
Nope, that was my.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to add something. So we just barely got by Tallahassee for letting us stay on to 2034. If we are going to push to extend this, then I caution everyone, when we have to be careful because we're being watched. And when we say certain things that is saying that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing and that we are suspicious of data being missed, and we just have to maybe change the way we're speaking, because we are representing our faith in the CRA working for us every time we come and sit at this table. And if we're not speaking words of faith and optimism, and if we're always beating up how the CRA has not helped us, then I just question why we're asking to extend it. If we're going to extend it, then let's move forward with that optimism that we are hell-bent on sticking to and staying focused and not getting distracted by noise. So I'm just questioning, are we happy with the way things are now? Because I don't hear that. A lot of times I hear that nothing has helped us. So I guess I'm just questioning, playing devil's advocate, why we want to extend something that we don't believe in, that we're missing data, that we don't know that the first CRP worked. We don't know if the second CRP is going to work. And I hear a lot of doubts, but I'm also hearing we want to extend that. So I just want to know, where do we stand? If we're going to stand behind the CRA and we want to extend it, then we need to firmly stand by it. But we can't extend it for 10 years and continue to rip it apart.
Thank you. I think that's, thank you for that. And I believe that's addressing my comments. I'm very optimistic, but I believe in accountability and I believe in strategy. In order for you to get to an ending destination, there has to be metrics to meet those points. If we're not seeing those metrics, it doesn't mean that we don't believe in what's happening. Once again, that's accountability. That is us serving the positions that we're in. The purpose of the extension, in which we can do, when CRAs become a part of watchdogs, is not because the sunrise date. It's more or less how funds are being spent. Because there are a lot of CRAs that are not spending funds according to Chapter 163. That's what gets us on the chopping block, right? So it has nothing to do with the sunset date. So I believe with the projects that we're talking about and the delay that has already been, that has been acknowledged, that has not been in East Tampa, I think we should, with this optimism, have more time to complete all of these projects that we're talking about completing. So that would be my response to that. So, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, I guess, so it's already been seconded.
Vice Chair.
Say that again?
Madam Chair, I said Vice Chair.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's chair at this moment
Oh, at
because
this
I really,
moment,
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So we're just gonna go ahead and take a vote. And we'll just go ahead and start with Ms. Frankie Jones.
I don't know what the motion is.
The sunrise,
The
sunset.
sunrise.
No,
The
no,
extension.
no, define the extension.
Like
Is it
down
5 years or
20.
10 years?
No, 10 years. I amended my motion to 2044.
2044, sorry for clarification.
Yes, sir. Good
Good
question.
enough? Okay. Okay, so all in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Oh, Mimi, sorry, Mimi, keep forgetting about Mimi. So used to seeing you here.
I'm gonna say aye, and I'm gonna hold all of us accountable for making sure that we talk good things about the CRA working for us.
Just tell the truth.
Thank you, Mimi.
All right, I have another motion. I would like for there to be an internal review on the process of our projects in East Tampa compared to other CRAs in the city of Tampa.
I will wholeheartedly second that motion.
Let's see what Mimi got to say.
No, let us speak.
I just wanna, can you be detailed on what you're saying process?
Sure, okay.
What are you
So,
looking for?
when we talk about projects, we have a project tracker. For an example, the Gator building was purchased when?
2019.
Okay, I'm glad that there's an RFP that's coming out January. That's wonderful. 6 years. That's a long time, right? I think the average CRA project should be around 4 years max.
Can we include in that motion also an understanding of where all of the land that is currently held or owned in the East Tampa, one of our neighbors brought up, Allison Hewitt brought up that there are significant amount of parcels that have been held for close to 10 years, 12 years, and what the overall process or what the timeline is to develop those parcels are? Can we add that to the mix? Because that's kind of concerning if there's land out there that's just being held and sat on, and obviously there's a tax burden on those parcels, right? That are being incurred. Why aren't we developing that?
For certain folks.
I don't know how this process will take place because how does the CRA check themselves?
Check the city.
So I don't know what the checks and balance of that will be. I would like an independent audit. I don't know how we could do that, but well, you can find out from city council, our CRA board, but I would like to know compared to other CRAs, what has been the average timeline for projects, whether that is acquiring land, submitting RFPs for that to get back on the street, for those projects to be completed from the CRA. Along with that motion, we're asking for a timeline tracker of when items were purchased and where they are now. Is that a clear motion?
Yeah, that's a clear motion. Any further discussion?
Second.
Second, already? Okay, any further discussion?
I'm gonna personally vote against it because I think knowing how, if the projects had been defined in the beginning, like for Water Street, that would be a different story. But here we have pieces of land where we're very slowly assembling land parcels and making a bigger footprint, and over time you have a bigger idea. Oh, we can add housing, we can even add commercial. And I think there's people who've been saboteurs who said to property owners, don't sell, and that slowed the process down, and that doesn't help the CRA. There's also members here who didn't even bother to go to the training, didn't even know the outline of our CRA, went to the reporter. I mean, this is just insane. It's like not even a simple knowledge of what the boundary of the CRA is. So there's so many levels of complexity this that I'm gonna say, I don't think it's realistic, and I don't think it helps us move forward. It'd be better to partner with businesses to say, hey, we have some land available, this footprint size, are you interested? I think the time better spent instead of doing backward comparison work, it's like, no, move forward and get moving on the projects, you know, and the faster we can get the 2 Osborne properties, Curtis and Polyvox, and we can get the Gator building, and we can get Heritage Heights, and we can get the ETIC, the faster those move on, that's gonna also excite more energy and more catalyst projects to come in. And so
Ms. Ziegler, I would just say, because we're in
That's all.
discussion. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. we can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. Those projects can still take place while we're receiving an audit of a timeline. That's it. We just want to know. You can't face the future about where we're going if we don't know if there's been disparaging things that happened towards East Tampa. Why are other CRAs that were created after East Tampa more progressive than where we are now? It doesn't hurt just to have the data that we can, for
We're also a
accountability.
lot bigger. I'll say that too.
Yeah.
We're big, 7 square miles.
I think it's helpful to know.
And then you can.
It's helpful to know, even what the intention was in buying it and why we didn't fulfill that intention, or are we still working towards that intention, or have we put it on the back burner? I would be able to kind of look at that type of information and try to read between the lines there, as we are also trying to understand how we prioritize projects. All that information matters to me.
Thank you. Ms. Headland and then Ms. White.
I would maybe just like to ask that instead of calling it an audit, that we have two things, the inventory of properties. What's that?
And then some type of impact report.
Yeah, maybe an impact report, but the kind of an inventory of properties, what we have, how long we've had it, and what the intent is it being assembled? Because quite honestly, it's really hard to compare something like Water Street or Channel Side with East Tampa when land use, parcel size, all those things are very, very different. It's very easy for a developer with really deep pockets and interests in downtown cores to come in and spend hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you're trying to convince a grocery store to develop very, very small parcels in East Tampa. It's two different things. I guess seeing the timeline of some of these longer range projects that we've looked at over anything from the last decade to just the last few years, I think what we're gonna see is that our timelines are starting to ramp up. Thank you very much. That we've had projects that languish, and it's quite honestly because the developers may not be there, their RFPs may not be fully formed. There's a lot of factors. So I guess I don't wanna say audit because I feel like that's,
I'm not afraid to say that word. I mean, at some time, since it's my motion, I think sometimes there has to be.
It's 8 o'clock, y'all. Come on.
Yeah, well, okay, go ahead, whatever, take the vote.
Ms. White, really quick before we.
Maybe you have something to say. Okay, so
Drive me crazy.
what we're talking about now is equity and justice. And I know Councilman Luis Vieira would toy with the idea of having some form of committee that is focused on equity and justice. It is apples and oranges comparing East Tampa to Channel Side and to downtown. But I will say that I have seen the city partner up with the downtown partnership because they're getting ready to redo that whole Ashley Drive. And also what happened with the multimodal, that's what they're calling it, but really it's the West Tampa River Walk, and how that is blowing up for them because they had that city advocate for grant money to be in that area. So it is about equity and justice. And we all see how the parks, Waterworks and Julian Bean Lane Park, you see that and you see Burrell Park, okay? So I believe this is an equity and justice thing. I guess what I'd like to see is some tighter parameters around your motion to maybe make, like in the last 5 years, just to start small and see what we get from it. And maybe just have it like really tighter on what you're asking for. Like B had said, like what, when you say process, what do you mean? I think we need to spell it out and put it in a little box to really be specific. And then maybe start small and see what we get from there, and then go from there. But this is all about equity and justice and transparency and accountability. So I do support that. I just think that maybe we need to really tighten up the motion and really have some tight parameters around it so that it's feasible for them. Because we say in one breath, time is running out, but in the other breath, we're saying, okay, we're going to stop and take time to do that. And I'm not against it. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying, can we find a compromise here to still make the motion, but have it a little tighter, like a time frame? Are we just looking at parks? Are we looking at what the CRA owns? Are we looking at what CRA projects were backed by the city? If that makes sense. What I'm saying makes sense. Hopefully it does.
Thank you, Mimi. Mr. McCray, and then we're gonna vote so that we can wrap this motion up.
Yes, and just for the sake of clarity, my question was related to timeline. You know, the time that we're going to take as a staff to look and find this information, whether it's successful. Some may be, you know, very forward facing. Some may be a little bit more difficult to put our hands on. But what's the expectation?
I just want an analysis between all of this. Since you're the CRE director, I'm going to talk to you as director and as manager, an analysis of the timeline of projects per CRA. It doesn't matter which one it is. How long does it normally take for a project on average? Just average.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I think most of you are aware, we went through a major restructuring and reorganization in 2024. There was a reason for that. Now we have, because of the need for housing, we have a housing division. We have a projects team, Mr. Faringer, Ms. Martinez, and the folks on that side of the house. And so that's why several of these things are now, rolling, because it's not incumbent upon just the manager themselves for the urban core or East Tampa and or Ybor City, West Tampa, Drew Park to manage that work in a multitude of other projects. So we've kind of segmented those things off. So that's the reason why we're able to move. That's why we're now having the time to be more forward thinking about what that looks like, and then, holding each other accountable internally, and then working with our various departments in the city to accomplish those goals, because it's a priority for the East Tampa CAC or the Tampa CRAs may not mean that it's a priority for that respective department and what's in the queues. But we're having those conversations to try to move those projects along. Ms. White.
I'll make it brief. I agree with what we're doing. I think the Johnson's motion is much needed. And I'll give you an example of this. Last week, I was in a meeting of 600 people, and 2 projects that we have on this list, it was announced that they're going forward and they will be completed in 2026. And I'll pass that information on to you.
Please do. Okay. Please do.
And I was sitting there and I'm saying, no, we haven't got that far. And one of the projects is on hold and one is at medium.
Let's go ahead. We've already been motioned. We're clear on the motion. We've had discussion. Let's just go ahead and vote so we can wrap this up. Ms. Jones? I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye. I'm tired. Any, not in favor?
Not in favor.
Okay, so motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next CRA board meeting is November 13th, next Thursday at 9:00 a.m. There is no CAC meeting for December. Mr. McCray will let us know about the workshop. And our next CAC meeting will be January 6, 2026. Is there a motion for adjournment? So moved. Is it moved? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, meeting has been adjourned.
I did a section.
Oh, second. That's like 5 seconds at one time. No problem. Great job, too.
No, Miss Tape is there 2 years.
Information from you. If you have any questions, you can contact me. Any of them, let me know. You should be able to.
I'm gonna say you said it. You said it.
I'm gonna let them know that you're they're on the way. No, I just said thank you. He called me the next
Amazon.